Hey, this is Megan, your host for Conversations for the Moving Self. Conversations for the Moving Self is for anyone who's passionate about movement and wants to take this for a long journey in their life. I know what it's like to be told that this isn't possible, but there is so much proof out there of all the different pathways that you can take, and one of them I'm sure aligns with you. And through these amazing practitioners and artists that I have met over the years, I'm here to share all of their knowledge and expertise of how we can work together to make this life a reality. So stay tuned, keep listening as we dive into these incredible stories of movement and well-being practitioners around the world, reminding us that this reality is possible. Welcome to Conversations for the Moving Self. Today I have Priya Khan here, who is a certified life coach with a passion of empowering women to rediscover themselves and thrive. Priya also has a background in mindfulness, parenting, and energy leadership, and we've had the pleasure of connecting through a dear friend named Summer Jupp. The last time Priya and I were chatting, I was just so inspired by her energy, her warmth, and her forward thinking, practical mindsets, really feeling like even in that interaction, I just felt so held and we weren't even in a coaching session in that moment, but just super excited to have her perspective here today, bringing a very non-judgmental, safe space, looking towards creating a sustainable, enjoyable path in the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for coming today, Priya.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
We'll start today, as we start all the episodes, with just how you're showing up for your own movement and well-being today.
Today it's morning here at the moment, so it feels like the day's just starting. And I think it's been busy because I think I've woken up. My son's birthday tomorrow. We've got people coming over, so it feels like a bit rushed in terms of like that motherly sorting the house out. But I feel like movement's like while I'm doing stuff as well, like I'm getting things ready, and so yeah, it's been a bit rushed. But I've also been quite mindful of today podcast and just taking that moment for myself. So where I am a little bit nervous, I've kind of shaken out a lot of my energy and done some really deep breathing just to kind of bring myself back into this moment. So I am here, I'm present, but also aware that kind of yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Oh, well, happy early birthday to your son as well. And I
You
totally
too.
understand, like Priya and I were checking in before we started the episode, and just around that one of those weeks where it's like, I think things are good, but it's too busy to really even know. I totally understand that. So, yeah. Well, also, like, I liked what you brought up around the actual podcast space because I think a lot of times, like, even myself, like, as the host, sometimes I don't really talk about it on the podcast, but it is quite a every time I'm still a bit like, oh, here we go. And it's important to have that moment to calm, to regulate before. So
Yeah,
thank you
it's
there.
unknown, isn't it? Even doing the podcast, like you say, you've done a number of them, but you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know
That's
what's
it.
going to come up. So I think that unknown is always going to make people feel a little bit uncomfortable and nervous. So it is quite nice to kind of center and ground ourselves just beforehand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. As we continue to head into the episode, I wondered if you would be willing to share a little bit around your journey into mindfulness and life coaching and how you arrived in this line of work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me, the journey didn't come straight away. It's taken me some time to kind of get to where I am. And I think, when you think about like in my 20s where I, was planning and thinking about what career I wanted, I never thought I'd be where I am here today, all those years ago. So it kind of started with the corporate world and just learning about myself, I think. And then I had children and everything felt very different. My work felt very different. I felt like I wasn't really aligned with what I was doing anymore. And I think coming from the corporate world, things change. especially for me, when I hear it all the time with mothers who just don't feel like they're fit in anymore, because it was brilliant in my 20s. I loved it. It worked for me. But once I had children, that balance wasn't really there as much in terms of wanting to spend the time with my children and trying to give myself to my work as well. And also feeling like I wasn't really valued anymore as much. I wasn't getting the roles I wanted, the projects, because I was part-time. And so
Mm,
things just didn't work out. And also the mindfulness, I think for me, and I think many mothers might relate to this, is once I became a mum, I had emotions that, boy, I didn't know where they came from. Strong, huge emotions that just came over me like a massive wave. And they felt quite scary, and I wasn't used to it. And yeah, I guess in 2014, 15, like people started mentioning mindfulness to me. And I think it was way before like it became kind of a bit of a buzzword, but it really resonated. Like it really felt like that's what I needed in my life at that moment. Just some time to pause and understand what was going on internally, my emotions, how to regulate them, why they're there, the triggers, because children can trigger you in ways that you'd never think you can be triggered before. And that wasn't who I was. I'm used to always being calm, collected, relaxed, chilled, positive, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, this isn't me. I'm very stressed. I'm getting angry really easily. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. And it was just really confusing time. So mindfulness, I started learning about mindfulness, doing some courses, practicing it daily. And it just it helped. And I realized actually it could help my son as well, who was anxious, my older son. And at that time, he was only like a toddler, like going starting school, but there was a lot of anxiety with him. And so I started practicing some mindfulness with him and realized it really helped. You know, the breathing exercises, just understanding the body, tuning in, pausing, all of that sort of stuff. And then I realized that a lot of children could have it. Why not share it? And so I started learning more and children's mindfulness and started running courses and programs and working in schools. And it was beautiful. But then I realized that the children were feeling great and parents were loving it. But then they'd go home and the parents were the one who, like me, were very stressed and very felt very full, like life was really full for them. So I started teaching parents and mums.
mm,
And yeah, it's just that's where the mindfulness I think came in, and that's where I've kind of come to starting that journey. And then the life coaching really was just understanding my identity, understanding the shifts that need to be made, the overwhelm, and kind of getting that balance and learning about what's important to me and having time to reflect. And I love coaching because I just think we never give ourselves that space for reflection, and we're never kind of allowed to be open and honest and like that, not having that judgment where someone's sharing their story and telling you what to do. And I'm 50 this year. I don't need to be told what to do anymore. I think I've got the inner wisdom within me to make those right decisions, but I just need to figure that out. And a coach really kind of helps you figure that out. And so that's what I do for other people. I help them figure out what's right for them.
thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, in terms of the life coaching thing, I think I really am super interested in this right now because I think I hadn't ever really understood exactly what it was until I had done a few summer sessions with Summer and just felt so grateful for this space to figure it out, but not like I think maybe the difference I felt was also around like yeah, being held in that discovery and as someone I'm someone who I think processes verbally quite a bit. And so that also that structure was really suitable for me. But then to have someone kind of questioning, but like not in a way of yeah, it's different than like being at school and being told like this and that and do this and that equal this plus this equals that versus yeah, this discovery
Not
space.
advising at all, is it? We're not advising you and guiding you. It's getting you to really think about, well, why are you where you are? Why are you not moving forward? And it's like asking 101 different whys in different ways to really think about. So making it really thought-provoking questions that get you thinking,
Yeah.
that you wouldn't ask yourself. And that's quite transformational, I think.
Definitely. And also when you were speaking around mindfulness for young people, I had a really cool job a year or two ago where I was leading some mindfulness movement sessions for a primary school. And I had always been interested in working in this mindfulness space and in a yoga space and then also in a dance space, but never had the chance to work with young people in the intersection between these two. And very much felt the same things of like so much excitement to see how they were able, like I think up until then I hadn't been in a space where it was really talked about of how young people could still grasp that like very easily, if not more easily maybe than some adults. And just felt so excited and inspired by them because they would come in, like I have this vivid memory of one day we were doing some sort of breathing task and one of them asked like, I have another one, can I share it with the class? And so she shared it and then they were all like little popcorn, like they all had different little breathing tasks. They just, I don't even know if anyone had taught them or they just would do on their own, which was so cute. And that I was very grateful to be working in a school that like the that kind of idea was very integrated into their classroom spaces as well. So I could see that it was supported and encouraged and able to develop, which was really interesting. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure like it's such a interesting space also to be able to work with the parents and the young people, and then how that overlaps and can then allow it to grow, as you said, like it's not just in one space in their life, but it allows it to be in the overall life and rather than like at home it starts or stops and vice versa in another space.
Absolutely. And it's absolutely, you're right. It's so beautiful to see the children because I think naturally they're just curious and creative. And so they're going to come up with their own ideas. They just need to get the grasp and understand what it means, the benefits, and just doing it. And then they'll come up with ways to make it fun. And I think when they bring in the fun aspect of it, they're naturally going to try it out. And what I really loved, I don't do so much work with mums and children anymore together, but I get a lot of feedback where the children would make the parents accountable.
Yeah.
And they would say, Mum, you're getting really annoyed. Try your breathing exercises. Come on, let's do some breathing exercises together. And I just thought, oh my God, that is amazing because they're both learning from each other. It's not just the mum teaching. Actually, the children are more likely to teach the parents because the parents, their minds are all over the place. And so, yeah, it was really beautiful. It just made me, I forgot about that time. And yeah, just got so many comments of children teaching or reminding the parents of their breath work.
It's really beautiful. Yeah, really beautiful. Leading into a bit more around the coaching spaces that you're facilitating. We were talking the last time we were speaking around how you tend to work from three different places, the mind, the body, and the energetic awareness. And I wondered if you could walk us through what that might look like to move through those three layers in a practical, like everyday context. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think often with my clients and just generally a lot of people I speak to, they're in their heads, they're in their minds, their thoughts, there's just a lot of them. And I can see when I'm talking to my clients and I ask one question and they think about it and a thought pops up and then another thought, another thought, another thought, another thought. And I can see their brains going round and round. And I'm exhausted looking at them and just thinking about what their brains are. So I can imagine how exhausting it must be to have all those constant thoughts. And often the thoughts we have come from a lot of pressure or expectations, so from family or culturally or society. And it's those what ifs, what should I be doing, the shoulds, that I need tos. And so when that happens, there's a lot of overwhelm, and it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, and we're less productive because nothing gets done. And so, what I like to do is give my clients that space just to pause. And we can do that in every day, just pausing and notice what is the main thought that comes up. What's that feeling underneath it? So the heart, what's the heart saying with that thought? What emotions come up for you? What
Mm,
sensations does that bring in the body? And just listening to your heart and your body. And then it's that energy, that gut feeling, that instinct, like what my quietly do I need to listen to? And that's that silent thing that we don't often listen to, that instinct of, does this feel right for me? Does it sit with my values, my beliefs? And so when we kind of align those, we know we know we're in the right direction. But when something feels off, so it could be something like someone saying, would you like, can you help me with some work, or can you take on something extra? And you're thinking, and some we could be going, yeah, actually, that'd be great. I want to help out. It might be a good opportunity. I should be doing this. And then when you go to your heart and you go, something doesn't feel quite right, it feels quite heavy. And there might be some sort of resentfulness going through you, or you might just be feeling hmm, quite tired. So just
mm,
noticing what goes on. And then that energy, what is that energy? Is that energy going, actually, it feels nice to be able to help out? Or is the energy going, I just haven't got it in me? Actually, I don't think I've got that capacity. So actually, when we just noticing what the head, the heart, and the energy and the soul are saying, it just allows us to make those right choices rather than just doing what we should and feel like and expectations that we often go to.
mm, definitely. It made me think a lot around when you were speaking for a lot of the listeners who are in careers that maybe are in audition spaces or freelance lifestyles similar to probably the way you're working as well. Like I think a lot of times there's a narrative around encouraging people to say yes to everything out of wanting people to not be shy or like there's a positive side of that, of course, but then equally how sometimes if we take that on too much, it can then we're acting out of something external to ourselves and then it leads to like overflow of this feeling of not being aligned rather than yeah and ends up in a result of like a big breakdown or emotional moment or etc. Where if we can interrupt ourselves sometimes and try to come back to these small moments of just like, how is it actually feeling? What does it bring up for me? Where is it sitting with me? How that can maybe allow us to just have a little bit more intentionality in the choices that we're making around our work, but also around our personal life and so on and so forth. And also made me think around in an audition space as well, where there's a sense of like this confined like pressure moment uh, where it can feel easy to try to show your best and as a result act from a sense of like being a product rather than a human being. And yes, of course, like there is an element of you're fighting for the job. There's more than just like, do I want the job or not? Like it's a little bit more complex than that, but it's important to also walk away from the audition knowing like, does it even feel like a job that I want? Or does it even feel like a company that I would want to work for? These kinds of things. And maybe it's a nice idea for dancers or movers who are in spaces where they're auditioning or they're in these high pressure moments where it can feel easy to almost lose the maybe the head side of things or the energetic side of things to have these kind of ideas to check back in with during and or after the session, the audition space.
Yeah, I really love the way you put all of that, actually. And it can be really confusing, especially I think in that field where you are auditioning and part of you thinks this is what I should be doing, this is what I really need to kind of move forward maybe within the career, but actually who I'm working for or what the audition is for, is that does that work for me? Am I going to enjoy it? Is it going to make me feel alive? Or am I just doing it because that's what I should be doing? And so, yeah, just noticing what is going on and for you with your, your thoughts and your mind and what what your heart and your feelings are saying and what energetically you want to be sharing. Because I think often we just do. We just do and constantly just keep people pleasing or not really noticing what aligns with us, and we can lose ourselves. And I think it's getting that balance. And then there might be times in a career where you might need to kind of push yourself and do the things that you don't really like to do. You're learning. We don't even know what's right for us or what we could learn from. Like everything's an experience. And I think especially when you're younger, like I'm always saying to my children, like when they do start their work life, try everything because you don't know what aligns and what doesn't align until you give it a go. So I think, when you're younger, it's a great opportunity. But if it doesn't feel right, if you feel like your energy is depleted very quickly, then maybe step back and question, is this right for me?
Mm, yeah, this sentiment around also like, yeah, that you're allowed to go for it. And then as you're learning, realize, and it will look different in every job situation and life situation and how that unfolds after the fact. But like that it all comes back to that the power is within you to make those choices, but we have to learn what feels aligned and what feels supportive of where we want to head versus like if it's becoming, yeah, the difference between like something that's challenging and then allowing you to grow versus something that's not right for you.
Yeah.
That those are different things also.
I
Mm,
think in the line of work with movement and dance, kind of that work isn't just a job. That's kind of part of who you are, I think, or it feels like it's part of an identity, and that's expression as well and self-worth. So it can be hard to kind of separate the two. Um, where your work begins to who you are as a person. And so, your body can become your work, and then your energy becomes part of the work, and how you perform and how consistent you are, and how visible you are. So it can be really difficult to kind of distinguish between you and work in certain lines of work, jobs, I think.
yeah.
And then there's that uncomfortableness of slowing down, because what does that mean if you kind of slow down? Are you falling behind? Are people getting ahead of you? And that can bring in lots of guilt as well.
Mm, yeah. My mind is like this. But it is bringing up a lot for me. I think the question that you and I had talked about beforehand of something that I'm curious around is the difference between pushing so far that it becomes burnout versus pushing because you're passionate and committed to something, and how we can approach treading that line. Yeah.
It's not easy when you're passionate about something, to know the difference. It can be quite hard because commitment can feel like exhaustion because you're committed to what you're doing. You're passionate about it. Of course, you should be doing more of it. This is what I love doing. So I'm just going to keep pushing myself. But then again, it's just noticing that disconnect on the body and the emotions, and what's coming up, because that pressure of constantly doing more and showing everyone else who you are and what you're capable of, and showing that it is a passion can add to the pressure of actually, but where is that balance? Yeah, I can have
Mm.
passion, but I still need balance for myself. Um, and finding a way that's sustainable to keep that passion going,
Yeah.
but not feeling exhausted constantly from it, and just kind of grounding ourselves. So I guess it's kind of, how can you honor the ambition and the passion and the joy of what you do, to also listening to when you need to kind of slow down and letting go of that guilt. And actually, guilt, I think everyone feels guilty. And as a mum, you'll know what guilt feels like. There's guilt on every stages in
Mm.
life. Like, it just, you're never not going to feel guilty. And what I've learned is that guilt's okay to feel. It just means that you care. And so
Mm.
it's sitting with the uncomfortable. Like, even if it feels wrong to slow down, it's just being uncomfortable with it. And we can learn to sit there and not feel the pressure of to keep going, and to
Mm.
push back, and to push back on ourselves, because often it's not externally, it's what we're saying to ourselves as well. So noticing, again, it's that noticing those thoughts, noticing those mindsets, and pushing back.
Mm-hmm. Mm. It made me think of like a very practical reflection, like this idea showing up in my own life today, where a few weeks ago I was in a very, very busy the work period and had been signed up for an online handstand course. And some of my friends were like, "You're crazy, you're really busy. Like, why are you still doing this?" And I was like, "No, because it's feeling actually like a different part of my life. I know it looks crazy from the outside, and it maybe is crazy to an extent, but it's actually filling a part of me rather than draining a part of me. So I think it's okay." And then flash forward, like I normally take this class on Thursday mornings, but it starts at 8. It starts at 8 in the morning, which like isn't the earliest hour of the day, but I tend to work quite late in the evenings. And last night I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be at that class in the morning. And even when I woke up this morning, I felt a little bit like probably should have gone to that class because I can't go next week because of an actual commitment and things. And then was like, wait, like why is that feeling coming up? And I think a little bit is like, well, there's definitely the guilt of like, oh, because I've committed to it and I am now like skipping out on it. It feels a little bit lazy, but then is it lazy or is it about energy levels? And equally, I think there was a little bit of a side to it of like, well, I've paid for a 10 class pass at the place that I'm doing these classes. And of like, oh, I've already paid for it. So like I want to make sure I use all the classes in time and all this stuff. But then ultimately I think it was the right choice because I didn't have the capacity sleep wise. But just how, yeah, like it's gonna guilt is always gonna come up even if we start to understand like the different roles it can play in our lives. I think at one point in my life I would have been even more, I would have just had so much guilt that I would have gone anyway and then been tired and crashed when I got home. But that it like we can work with these feelings, but it doesn't mean they're always just gonna never come back. But that it's around bringing some awareness to sitting with the uncomfortable. I loved what you were saying around this and allowing something to exist because it's allowing you to kind of reflect and understand where it sits in your life and what role it's playing versus when we're just acting out of doing rather than being intentional about something.
Yeah.
That's
And
what came
you're not
to
alone. I think everyone goes through that, don't they? Where they
me.
pay for a class or pay for a program, and the commitment and the intention is there when you do
Yeah.
it. But life does happen, and we don't know what's going to happen. And so, in those moments, what you had planned doesn't always naturally mean what's going to happen. And just like you say, sitting there and going, it's okay if I miss that session. it was well what felt right for you. Because if you'd taken and you'd committed, and yes, commitment is important. And I'm not saying it's important, but I'm just
No, I know what you
like
mean,
you
that
said,
there's
it's
two
just
sides to it.
rather than just constantly doing, it's let's notice what's going on for us, because otherwise we can commit to everyone and everything, and that's when the burnout comes. And when we're thinking about, you know, roles that we're passionate about, we can there's a lot that we can. It's not like going to an office and a job where you just go and you do your work and you come home and you let it go. Like I think with certain jobs and roles, like it comes back home. We're constantly thinking about it. We don't let it go. And so it's really important that we find that balance where we can just shut off a little bit, or we can say no, and we can just align with what feels right for us in those moments without feeling the overwhelm of guilt. Like I'm not saying let go of the guilt completely, but without the overwhelm of guilt taking over.
Yeah. Yeah. It made me think actually around potentially there's a, qu- I think from my own experience and from speaking to a lot of friends who had done a degree in something that it then becomes a freelance career, how you go from this place where it's kind of designed for you to an extent. And of course, we still had like autonomy to be like, I'm sick today, I can't come to class, whatever. Like, it was of course there. And I went to school that was very working from the space of really encouraging dancers to still try and work from that space of what do you actually need. But I think it still doesn't take away this moment of when people graduate courses with this kind of structure that it's already there for you. You're taking class on this many days, like you have this kind of integrated for you, and then you go to building your own schedule completely as a freelancer and different lines of work, what that looks like and how it can feel easy to go like all or nothing. And it's about, yeah, this idea that we keep coming back to around balance and just bringing awareness to it and with that lens of balance and intentionality, how then you can act from a place of what's actually serving you and what's serving you at different points in your life. Like I remember talking about it a lot when I was graduating. We had a lot of different artists coming in talking around this idea of how to know when something is right for you, but then yeah, when you're putting it into place, how to encourage that to stay and not and yeah, it's okay for the guilt to come up. It's okay for the whatever feelings to come up and that it like on both sides we're not going to just always doing, but we're also not going to just always stepping back and being like, no, I need to protect myself, but you can find this middle
Middle
space.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy to find that middle ground. It does take time and practice to really know yourself and those signals that come up to question, hold on, is that right for me? So the question I like to come back to is to think about, am I choosing to do
Mm,
this, or am
it's
I
really
kind of pushing through it? And I think when we
mm,
kind of ask that question, is that a choice, intentional choice from myself because I want to, not because I have to or I need to?
yeah. Mm. Makes me think around a conversation I was having with a friend recently who's in a situation where they're a freelancer. They had a full-time job come up, like as an opportunity, and then equally had some freelance work coming in, but it's not really freelance work that they necessarily feel extremely connected to. They're excited about like the possibility for work, but like we were having a conversation around they have their own freelance projects outside of it and which kind of allows them to build the version of their life that feels the most aligned and working through the pressure that somehow comes from external to themselves, just like from society of like what is the right way to pursue an artistic career or a freelance career, and how there's this weird pressure sometimes around like this job is right, that job is wrong, and actually that it's going to look different for everyone and will look different at different chapters, and how to even if like we were having that conversation and we both were like, yeah, okay, it makes a lot of sense, but then how to, in the action of making the choice that feels aligned, how to stick with the confidence in that and hear the different sides of things and still like question it and yeah, when is it like unpack where is it coming from, what is it bringing up, etc. But that sometimes there's societal pressure to do something, and if we're not acting from that space but we're acting from choice, how to continue staying like strong in your ground almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's something that we were just kind of unpacking. Like I think it's an
And I
ongoing
love how you
conversation for a
unpack
lot
that
of us.
together because I think that's
Yeah.
it, isn't it? It's having those conversations to get your thought process out. Well, why am I doing this? Is it societal pressure? Is it right for me? And I think that's where, so within like coaching, I have lots of conversations and allowing clients to notice what comes up for them when that expectation is there. Does that sit well? Does it work with their values, their beliefs? Is it where they are in their lives at the moment, where they were 5 years ago? Doesn't mean it's the same way that they want to pursue things now. And again, it like you said, everyone's very different. We're all individuals. How we want to do things is going to be very different to another person in the same arena or in the same field. And there's no one thing fits all. And
Mm,
so questioning what feels right for me is the first step. And then I find that it's in between the sessions that my clients get those aha moments. So when you're having those conversations and you sit there and you think about it, it's not until you're doing your day to day, going on with your day to day lives that you think, actually, something clicks and you go, yeah, I've just noticed that doesn't sit well. Or actually, I'm really inspired. Or that feels really exciting to me. So,
mm,
yeah, I think first of all, it's just pausing and just notice what comes up and having those conversations and those discussions to really question, is it right for you? Is it, does it work with your principles, your values? Is it aligned with your beliefs, where you are now, with whatever's going, if you've got family or, it could be, you might have, like I work with clients and sometimes they've got a family member that's ill. And so their things change.
yeah.
And that can make the difference on if you continue to do what you thought you should be doing, but actually just you can't do it all. And actually noticing, well, what's important to you? What's either slowing you down or what's moving you forward? And I think it's just that keep moving forward in some way. Um, Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, just aligning yourself. And I just don't think enough people pause and reflect to know what's right for them. And I think that it
Yeah.
just really honestly comes down to that for me. I think we're just go, 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 autopilot, autopilot throughout our lives. And until we take that space. And it doesn't have to be much. It could be through mindfulness, it could be through coaching, it could just be through reflection, journaling, whatever it is, just to take that space, just to notice what's coming up for you.
Yeah. Mm. I have one follow-up question with kind of within that world of when you're working with clients and you feel them kind of they've maybe paused, they're starting to slow down, but they're somehow stuck on like one thing. You can feel them ruminating or like just kind of going in circles a little bit. How you encourage them to to step out of that space and into a more forward-thinking space, into this space where moving forwards, even if moving forwards isn't always like a linear journey, but like how you kind of redirect them or invite them into that space.
Yeah. So I think when we remunerate, it's overthinking. We get into that loop, and it's hard to get out of that loop and figure out what's right for us. And we often want to just jump straight into solutions. What can I do? What can make it better? But again, it's slowing things down and use some mindfulness, coming back into the body, and taking those deep breaths. So if you're up for it, we can do a little exercise
Yeah, let's do it.
to see how we can kind of move forward and kind of think. So we'll keep it really simple. We won't overdo it, and just really light, but just kind of see what comes up for you.
Yeah.
So if you have a moment, if you have a thought or something that's coming up for you, just firstly, just take this moment just to settle. And so I just like to take them through just a little guided, just settle them into where you are now, being present in this moment, and just notice your seat, maybe your feet touching the floor, just grounded here, and just take a slow breath in and a gentle exhale. And we're just going to soften the body, just breathing in and exhale. And just noticing, is there anything on your mind at the moment? It doesn't have to be anything big, just something small, a general feeling you've been sitting with, or decision. And feel free to share it or just either notice what comes up and then you can share at the end. And with that thought, do you have a thought that's come up for you?
Yeah. I was actually thinking around that I don't have food prepared for today. Which is very small, but like the yeah, just that I was like, well, I haven't really prepared my dinner for the quick turnaround that I have this evening.
Okay, so it's that I haven't prepared my dinner for the time that I've got for the day. So when that thought comes to your mind, how does that feel? What emotions come up with the thought that I haven't thought about dinner and do I have the time?
Definitely like a little bit of frustration, a little bit of urgency, and a little bit of also like in reality, it probably isn't the end of the world. But like, yeah, this thing of I can feel myself kind of going in two directions of like I just want to be mad at myself almost for not working ahead and being fully prepared. And then equally being like, that's fine, I'm sure there will be a solution.
And do you notice where that is in the body? So the frustration, but also it's okay
Yeah, I think I feel myself tense in my upper body.
in your upper body. It's
Yeah.
interesting. And so, yeah, we often hold a lot of tension in our upper body. And so maybe slowly just take a few deep breaths into that upper body. And we're not trying to change anything. We're just creating that little bit more space, a little bit more room, easing it. That frustration that you're feeling, we're just softening. And it's natural if you're feeling, if the thought of, I haven't prepared dinner and I'm not sure about the time that I've got, that you're feeling quite frustrated right now. And noticing that feeling in your upper body and just softening that breath, softening the shoulders. And we're not solving anything right now. I'd just like to ask you, what's one small step that would support you right now? just to support you. So something that might be important, you might need to do.
Probably letting it go first so that I can just work practically instead of spending the energy being annoyed at something that's already like in the past to an extent.
Yeah. So when you let it go, what does that mean for you? What are you doing when you let it go?
Mm, letting go of the frustration, the frustration around it, and then working towards, okay, what is the next practical step, which will be once I'm leaving to grab some snacks that feel suitable to hold me over in between classes and things this evening, but to not, I don't want to say waste, but not waste the energy like on the feeling of frustration of something that's already happened
So
and
let me ask
not
you, is the
ruminating.
frustration more on wasting the energy and knowing that you're thinking about it, or the frustration that you haven't sorted?
Frustration is on that I haven't done it. And I think because I'm in a little bit of a week where the to-do list is pretty big, and of just like, "No, I totally forgot that. And how did I forget that? Da, 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 da." Like the mind is then frustrated in that sense. But I'm aware that I'm a human who could easily then spend a lot of time being frustrated rather than just being like, okay, what's next?
So what's the one thing that you can do to support yourself with this frustration as well? Kind of how can you let it go?
Give myself patience and forgiveness and the human side of things of like, okay, it's a busy week, it's okay.
And
Yeah,
so how does that feel when you're allowing yourself that patience? What shifted? What shifted for you?
I think actually as I said it, I felt like my jaw softened actually of just like, yeah, maybe just acknowledging where it's coming from allows the body to then soften. And so then I feel a little bit more like, okay, I just after when it's time to go, I just grab some snacks that feel useful. And so I still feel prepared rather than like my mind kind of being in two places all evening of like, oh, I didn't prepare well and da, da, da. Like, yeah, instead of wait, I keep coming back to the word wasting. I don't feel like it's the best word, but instead of spending the time worrying about something that I didn't do, instead being like, how can I work practically now towards supporting the rest of my day? And within that, I think I'm aware that it's also something like the dinner side of things is also within a evening of teaching movement-based classes, which ultimately is related to my body. So when I have, as I said, like as I said to you, trying to release the frustration and giving myself forgiveness and patience, it allows my body to be softer, which allows me to probably teach better. We'll see, but that's in theory what I'm hoping.
I love that, and already I can see the energy changing from when you like, oh, I should have had something prepared or thought about my dinner, to now, and actually just allowing that softness and how that changes within not only your energy but also how you then move forward for the rest of your day with your
Yeah.
teaching as well as what you're preparing and the stacks that you're going to get, during that stage where you've got that time in between. And
Mm.
so how does that feel different from literally 3 minutes ago to where you are now?
I think I feel a little bit more like my brain isn't in two places at once. It's a little more here now. Uh, yeah, I think maybe I do actually feel quite like I feel something definitely in my upper body is a bit softer.
Just pause and just
Yeah.
guide through the breath and just noticing what's coming up and just changing that loop, just cutting that loop so it doesn't keep going round and round and round, and just taking something from it and making that small shift and that small step. It doesn't have to be too big, it doesn't have to be a plan, just making a step forward, some sort of
Mm,
movement to make change, or just
yeah.
noticing what's missing. And maybe it's that kindness, that compassion that's missing. Could be a
Mm,
value that's lost along the way as well, that is making you feel the way you are. So I think it's shifting from thinking to feeling. And again, it's that choosing, which can be quite powerful.
mm. Thank you for sharing that little uh,
Thank you for
exercise.
taking part because I know it wasn't planned.
Don't
So
worry, it's
thank you. And
okay.
I put you on the spot. So
No,
appreciate you kind of taking part in that.
it's quite nice though, and hopefully for the listeners, it's something they can try as well and use in their day to day. And I think especially for a lot of the audience, they're often movers or people who are doing a lot of movement in their life, and it can probably feel quite a applicable one to them because it's a I'm sure that's not to say it's not helpful for people who aren't pursuing movement things, but more in the sense of I think it just as I was doing it, I was like, yeah. It's the same way when we start a movement practice in an actual session. Like I think the difference is that we feel whether it's just going to a yoga class or a dance, if you're a dancer going to a dance day, like whatever it is for you in that movement space, but when you're that we can implement it in these small ways in our life too, not just in a hour-long session in a guided group class.
Yeah. And I think for me, that is who I am. Like I don't do like hour-long meditations. I like to bring little moments, mindful parts of joy, so it doesn't feel like it's going to take a long time to kind of get through anything. It's just bringing that quick awareness. And the more you practice it, the more you become more in tune with it, a lot quicker, a lot easier, and notice what you kind of need to be doing. And it all comes down to kind of practicing, and not practicing when you are feeling quite stressed and overwhelmed, but just day to day, just
Yeah.
noticing like when you're doing the dishes, what thought am I having? How's that making me feel?
Yeah.
Um, and just noticing, does it sit well? Do I need to do anything? Is anything kind of missing? Is there a change that needs to happen? And the more we can kind of practice that with little mindfulness, just being in the moment and then just noticing what's coming up for us, the easier it is when I guess we're feeling quite heavy, strong, overwhelming thoughts or feeling quite lost in ourselves.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Megan. I hope you're enjoying this episode. I just wanted to take a brief moment to interrupt and ask you a huge favor. We just did this amazing exercise with Priya, and if you could leave below a comment of how it made you feel, what it brought up for you, how it affected your day, it would be super, super appreciated. And anyone that comments will be sent their own exclusive exercise from myself and Priya to support your journey in movement and well-being. So big thanks. Enjoy the rest of the episode, and just wanted to pop on here and share that little exciting exclusive benefit. I'm aware of time, and so I want to just head into the closing question before we sign off for the day. When the previous guest was asking how you maintain joy in your own practice.
So for me, I love this question because joy is a core value of mine. So it's something that I think of a lot. And right now, if I'm honest, life's quite heavy. There's a lot going on personally. And so for me, I have to try and find joy in my moments. And again, it's moments of joy and what brings me joy. And it could be going for a walk and seeing the sunset. It depends on, again, it's listening to my body. What do I need during that time? Do I need the joy that's relaxing and ease and just a bit more mindful? Or do I need joy that's given me higher energy. And at the moment, I know I need more energy because home's quite heavy and low and slow. So I go out and I do a Zumba class, or I go and have a laugh with some friends, or I just notice the things the children do that just light me up. So I'm just very intentionally aware of what's bringing a smile to my face, or what's
Mm,
bringing, warmth to my heart. And yeah, creating kind of that balance, because, there's always, and I'm again, balance is another value, and I'm a Libra, and so everything in my life is very balanced. So where I'm very aware that there's a lot going on in my life that can feel heavy, I'm intentional to bring a lot of lightness.
mm,
And again, if there's sadness, bringing more joy. And so I always try and find the joy, because I just think in life, if we don't have joy, then kind of what is the point? So it's been bringing gratitude, daily
mm.
gratitude practices, because it doesn't have to, joy doesn't have to be doing something extravagant and big. It's those little things that you're appreciative for, the small
Yeah.
things, nature, a walk, friendships, noticing kindness. So yeah, just that's how I kind of bring joy into my life. And also the work I do, like I am passionate, I do love what I do. And when I see my clients and I notice a shift or a aha moment and a change, like that brings me so much joy. Like I can be exhausted in a day and then I'll have a client call or I'll run a workshop and I'll come out and I'm like all energetic and I'm like
Yeah.
loving it. And this is how I kind of know this is what work feels right for me. But also, yeah, it's bringing joy into my life.
Mm. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. It brought a smile to my face hearing you speak around it. And thank you so much for your generosity in the whole episode. I really enjoyed chatting with you and working through some of these really powerful ideas around balance and intentionality and yeah, so many useful little tidbits in there. So big thank you.
Thank you.
We at Conversations for the Moving Self want to say one final big thank you. We know what it's like out there to try and pursue this movement career in a long term sustainable way. When it gets hard, you know where we are. Stay tuned. Next Saturday, we have another amazing episode coming out with a new guest to share their experience of navigating this career firsthand. So, big thank you again, and see you next time on Conversations for the Moving Self.